Hello everyone. In this short session, we will see the salient features of our constitution. As you know, our constitution is a unique document both in terms of contents and spirit. It's true that we have borrowed many provisions from different constitutions of the world, but even then our constitution has got several features that distinguishes it from the constitutions of the other countries. So we will see some of those features one by one. So to begin with, the first is that ours is the lengthiest written constitution in the world. See, basically constitutions are of two types: written like the American Constitution, or unwritten like the British Constitution. So American Constitution is a properly written document, whereas British Constitution is not written. So that is more of traditional concepts and values that you adhere on to. So, but in our case, a Constitution of India, it's a written document and it's the lengthiest written constitution in the world. So, it's a very comprehensive, elaborate and detailed document. Now, there are certain reasons that contributed to this large size of our constitution. So, there are basically four factors. Number one, geographical factors, which is the vastness of the country and its diversity. So, as you know, we were a very large country with an thoroughly or utterly diverse country we were. So, to cater to the varying needs of these different sets of people, these different groups of people, we try to keep provisions separate for all these groups. So that in turn added up to the bulkiness of the document. Now the second feature or the second reason is historical factors. See, for example, the influence of the Government of India Act of 1935. So this 1935 Act itself was a very bulky document. So we incorporated most of the provisions of the 1935 Act into our new constitution. So that added to the bulkiness of the constitution. Now the third reason is we had a single constitution for both the center and the states except the state of Jammu and Kashmir. So except for Jammu and Kashmir, the center and the states together had a single constitution. But in most federations, the constitution is separate for the center and the states. But in our case, this was combined in a single document, and that in turn added to the size of the constitution. Now the fourth reason for this size or the bulkiness of this document is dominance of legal luminaries in the Constituent Assembly. We had seen this when we discussed the Constituent Assembly because legal language and legal terminology and legal way of documenting things is quite different. They have this tendency to write long sentences, complicated sentences. So this was again another factor which contributed to this size of the constitution. Okay, so basically we tried to explain each and everything that is written in the constitution. The intention behind explaining and defining each and everything was that we did not want to leave a scope for debates and contentions later on. So to avoid that, we kept on explaining things too clearly. So all these factors added to the huge size of this document, the Constitution. Now, the second feature is that our Constitution has been drawn from various sources. So Constitution of India, as you know, we borrowed so many provisions, a lot of provisions from the Government of India Act of 1935, and we also, apart from that, we have borrowed from the provisions of so many other constitutions, because see, we were a new democracy. By the time we were framing our constitution, so many other countries in the world already had a constitution working. So we had so many working models in front of us to borrow from, to learn from. Okay, so to look into what all parts we have drawn from which all countries, the philosophical part of the constitution, which are basically the fundamental rights and the directive principles of state policy, that we have borrowed from the American and the Irish constitutions. So fundamental rights we have borrowed from the US or the American constitution, and directive principles of state policy we have borrowed from the Irish constitution. Now the political part of the constitution, which are basically the principle of cabinet government and the relations between the executive and the legislature, that we have borrowed from the British Constitution. See, we have borrowed heavily from the British Constitution, especially the structure of the parliament and things like that. So political part of the constitution, which includes the principle of cabinet government and relations between the executive and the legislature, that has been borrowed from the British Constitution. Now we have also borrowed provisions from the constitutions of Canada, Australia, Germany, USSR, France, South Africa, Japan, etc. See, some of the provisions that you have drawn from or borrowed from the Government of India Act of 1935 include the federal scheme, judiciary, governors, emergency powers, public service commissions, and most of the administrative details. So all these things we have drawn from the 1935 Act. Now coming to the third feature of the Constitution, that it's a blend of rigidity and flexibility. See, these two terms, rigid and flexible, this we use in the context of the easiness of the procedure for amendment. So amendment means the procedure to change. So when you say you have amended the constitution, or when you say you have amended a certain provision of the constitution, it simply means you have brought about a change. For example, for example, we had the right to private property as a fundamental right in the constitution, but later on we decided to remove the right to private property from the list of fundamental rights. So today this is no longer a fundamental right. So that was an amendment to the constitution. Or your Right to Education Act or Right to Information Act, these are all amendments to the constitution or changes that were made later on to the constitution. So rigidity and flexibility, we talk about these two terms in the context of the easiness of the amendment procedure. A rigid constitution is the one that requires special procedure for amendment. For example, the US Constitution. So it's not easy to amend the US Constitution. So you call the US Constitution a rigid constitution. A flexible constitution, on the other hand, is one that can be amended in the same manner as the ordinary laws are made, as for example the British Constitution. See, if you have a flexible constitution like the British Constitution, then the procedure for amendment is too simple. Just like you pass an ordinary law, you can bring about a constitutional amendment. So when we talk about the Indian Constitution, we are neither rigid nor flexible, like what Buddha says, right? So you always have a mean to follow. So the same way, we are neither too rigid nor too flexible, we are somewhere in the middle. So we are a synthesis of both. So basically Article 368 of the Constitution talks about amendments. So there are different types of amendments that we will see in the later chapters when we do constitutional amendments separately. But to give you a very brief idea, according to Article 368, which talks about amendments, constitutional amendments, some provisions of the Constitution can be amended by a special majority of the Parliament. Special majority of the Parliament. Whereas some other provisions can be amended by a special majority of the Parliament with the ratification of half the total states. Okay, so I have to tell you first what is a special majority. Okay, so special majority of the Parliament means that 2/3 majority of the members of each house present and voting plus a majority of the total membership of each house. So when you talk about special majority, you need two types of majority satisfied at the same time. Number one, out of the total members of each house separately, out of the total members present and voting, right? Okay, so here you are not taking the total number of the total membership of the house, rather you are taking the number of members or the count of the people who are actually present and are taking part in the voting process. So out of that you have to have 2/3 majority. You have to have, in the sense, the amendment should get 2/3 majority of members of each house present and voting, plus you have the amendment also have to get a majority of the total membership of each house, which means we are not taking the number of people present and voting, rather you are taking the total of the total membership of the house, so the strength of the house. So that is just 50% plus. So these two conditions have to be satisfied at the same time. Only then you can say that the provision has been amended with a special majority. So ഈ രണ്ട് ക്രൈറ്റീരിയ, ഈ രണ്ട് കണ്ടീഷനും ഒരേ സമയം സാറ്റിസ്ഫൈ ചെയ്യുമ്പോഴാണ് സ്പെഷ്യൽ മെജോറിറ്റി കിട്ടി എന്ന് പറയുക. ഓക്കെ, സോ ഐ ഹോപ്പ് യു ഹാവ് അണ്ടർസ്റ്റുഡ്. നെക്സ്റ്റ് ഇസ് second type of amendment is amended by a special majority, which is the special majority that you have just spoken about, plus ratification by half the states. So after the amendment has got a special majority in both the houses, the amendment proposal will be sent to all the state assemblies, state legislative assemblies, and the state legislative assembly will have to consider or pass these amendments in their respective assemblies. So the moment half the states have ratified or passed this amendment, we say that okay, now we have half the states agreeing to this amendment, so the amendment will come into force. So these are the two types of amendments. So there is a third category of amendment which come outside the scope of Article 368. Right now we talked about amendments that come under the scope of Article 368. Now there is a third category of amendment which which does not come under Article 368, which is, see, some provisions of the Constitution can be amended by a simple majority of the Parliament in the manner of ordinary legislative process. So നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞ രണ്ട് മെജോറിറ്റിയും അല്ലാതെ, രണ്ട് മെത്തേഡിലും അല്ലാതെ മൂന്നാമതൊരു തരത്തിലും കൂടി നമ്മൾക്ക് കോൺസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷണൽ അമെൻമെൻറ്റ് പാസ്സാക്കാം, വിച്ച് ഇസ് ത്രൂ എ സിമ്പിൾ മെജോറിറ്റി ഓഫ് ദ പാർലമെൻറ്റ്. So like you pass any ordinary law, you can pass an amendment. So now you see that some of the provisions are quite difficult to pass, or some of the amendments are not easy to make. For example, it's not easy to have a special majority plus ratification by half the states. That's a quite tough process. Whereas outside the scope of Article 368, you have the provision to amend the Constitution through a simple majority, so which is a rather easy process. So that is the reason we said that our constitution is a mix of rigidity and flexibility. Thank you.